You learned it in school. The Roman Empire collapsed in 476 AD, overrun by barbarians, rotted from within, destined to fall. But what if that story is wrong? Not wrong about the fall. That happened. Wrong about the inevitability. What if one decision, by one man, kept the empire alive? What would 1600 more years of Roman civilization look like? Let's find out. January 17th, 395 AD. Emperor Theodosius I dies in Milan. He is the last man to rule both halves of the Roman Empire. In our timeline, his will splits everything between two sons. Arcadius, 18 years old, gets the east. Honorius, just 10, gets the west. Neither has the spine to rule a village, let alone an empire. The Western Empire gets 60 more years of slow death. Barbarian generals become the real power behind child emperors. Province after province breaks away. By 476, there's nothing left to conquer. But here's what historians don't emphasize enough. This wasn't inevitable. Standing in the room when Theodosius died was Flavius Stilicho, half Roman, half Vandal, and the most capable military commander alive. The army loved him. The treasury trusted him. He had already saved the empire twice on the battlefield. In our timeline, Stilicho respected the dead emperor's wishes. He served the boy Honorius faithfully and was murdered for it in 408, accused of treason by a court terrified of his competence. But in this timeline, Stilicho makes a different choice. The sons are clearly unfit. The empire will die under their rule. So he acts. A bloodless coup, the legions back him unanimously. He marches on Constantinople, deposes Arcadius to a comfortable exile, and declares himself protector of the unified empire. Not emperor. Protector. It's a crucial distinction. He preserves the Senate, preserves the institutions. He simply refuses to let two incompetent teenagers destroy 3 centuries of civilization. The first test comes fast. Attila's Huns crash against the empire's northern frontier in the 440s. In our timeline, a fractured West barely survived the Battle of the Catalonian Plains through a desperate coalition. In this timeline, they faced the full might of a unified Roman military, both the field armies of the West and the professional forces of the East, fighting under a single command structure. The Huns aren't just stopped, they're broken. Attila dies in retreat, not in a wedding bed. Without the Hunnic collapse, pushing Germanic tribes into Roman territory, the migration period never happens. The Franks, the Goths, the Vandals, they're absorbed the way Rome always absorbed peoples. As foederati first, then citizens. Within 3 generations, they're as Roman as anyone. Here's where this timeline diverges most dramatically from ours. The Dark Ages, that 800-year collapse of literacy, engineering, and urbanization, never happens. Roman roads stay maintained. Roman schools stay open. Roman engineers keep iterating. Remember Hero of Alexandria? 1st century AD, built a working steam engine as a temple novelty. In our timeline, Rome never industrialized because slaves were cheaper than machines. But in a surviving empire, 2 things change. First, Christian moral philosophy, which Rome adopted, slowly delegitimized slavery over 3 centuries. Second, the Justinianic plague of the 500. By the equivalent of our 900 AD, the Roman Empire has steam-powered manufacturing, iron-hulled ships, and mechanical agriculture. They've hit their industrial revolution, 800 years before Britain hit ours. And this changes everything about how the rest of the world develops. When Roman ships reach the Americas, around our year 1100, they don't arrive as desperate explorers seeking gold to fund wars at home. They arrive as representatives of the wealthiest, most stable civilization on Earth. They have nothing to prove and nothing to steal. First contact looks like trade, not conquest. Roman manufactured goods for American agricultural products. Roman engineering knowledge shared with Mississippian and Mesoamerican civilizations that are already building cities of 30,000 people. By the equivalent of our 1400, the world has three great powers. The Roman Commonwealth, still calling itself a republic despite governing 1 billion people. The Han continuity, China, which in this timeline never suffered the Mongol invasions because a powerful Rome kept the steppe peoples contained. And the Mississippian Federation, indigenous American civilizations that industrialized independently after Roman trade contact. No colonialism, no transatlantic slave trade, no genocide of indigenous peoples. Not because Romans were moral, but because they were rich enough that exploitation wasn't necessary. So, what does 2026 look like? Latin is the lingua franca of the Western world, not because it was imposed, but because it never stopped being the language of science, law, and commerce. English doesn't exist. The Anglo-Saxons were absorbed into Roman Britain and spoke vulgar Latin like everyone else. Democracy wasn't born in 18th century revolution. It evolved gradually from the Roman Senate. Citizenship expanded century by century, voting rights following economic participation. It took longer than our revolutions, but it stuck without the civil wars. There was no World War I, no World War II, no Holocaust. The great conflicts of this timeline are economic, trade wars between the three powers, a 19th century logic crisis when Roman materialist philosophy clashed with Han's spiritual traditions over the ethics of mechanical computation. Technology is roughly 2 centuries ahead of ours, not because Romans were smarter, but because they never lost 8 centuries to civilizational collapse and rebuild. Controlled fusion, orbital infrastructure, computational machines built on principles we barely recognize because their mathematics evolve from different axioms. But, and this is important, this world paid a price. The cultural diversity born from Europe's fracturing? It never emerged. There is no French cuisine distinct from Italian, no English literature, no German philosophy, no Spanish guitar. The regional variety that makes our world beautiful grew from the wreckage of Rome's fall. In this timeline, Western culture is deeper but narrower, 16 centuries of continuous refinement instead of parallel experimentation. History is not a story with an inevitable ending. It's a chain of decisions made by specific people in specific rooms, and any link in that chain could have been forged differently. The Roman Empire didn't fall because empires must fall. It fell because Theodosius trusted his dynasty over his general, because Honorius chose a sycophant over a strategist, because one competent man was too loyal to act. In another timeline, he wasn't. If this made you see history differently, subscribe. We explore a new alternate timeline every week. And tell me in the comments, is a unified world worth the loss of diversity? I genuinely don't know the answer.